A battle cry from some of the toughest athletes in this country, former football players, thousands of them joining together to say no one should pay the price they have paid for the game they love. It is the biggest lawsuit in the history of sports that target the NFL, and the accusation that the league covered up how many players had suffered serious head injuries. It is a suit that could change the way the game is played, from the pros on the field to children in American schools. And ABC's Chris Cuomo tells us about this first quarter in a very big fight.
The signature of professional football, violent contact, is now the basis for the biggest court fight in the history of sport. The NFL has been sacked in a lawsuit by over 2,000 former players and their families. The charge: the league knew and deliberately hid the dangers of head trauma to players. Jim McMahon led the Chicago Bears to Super Bowl victory. He's now one of the players suing the league and spoke to ESPN.
We knew there was going to be a chance for injury, but we didn't know about the head trauma. And they did, and that's the whole reason for this lawsuit.
The hits that excite audiences and are arguably promoted by the league as a calling card for the game have been found by ESPN Sports Science to be the force equivalent of a sledgehammer blow to the head. One study found the average player takes 900 to 1,500 headshots a season.
Multiple hits to the head, multiple concussions can, and we know does, potentially cause long-term side effects that is irreversible.
The concern is that recent suicides of some of the sport's biggest stars like Junior Seau, Dave Duerson, and Ray Easterling may be related to head trauma suffered during their playing years. The players claim no one knows the science and destructive potential of these collisions better than the NFL. Included in the complaint is the charge that from 1994 to 2007, the league had its own committee to supposedly study the issue, but instead generated false findings about head trauma. The committee found, quote, returning to play after a concussion does not involve significant risk of a second injury, either in the same game or during the season.
It breaks your heart, man. You get a guy that you've known for years and years that, he can't recognize you or doesn't have any idea who you are or anybody else is. I mean, that's tough to deal with.
The league's response is the NFL has long made player safety a priority and continues to do so. Any allegation that the NFL sought to mislead players has no merit. That's the league statement.
But what about this? Is this enough pressure from all these players to get them to consider changing anything in the game?
Moves the heart, but doesn't seem as though it will move the league at this point, because the committee they put together didn't even have brain experts on it. There's also the issue of how do you change the game of football without changing why people like to watch it.
And the billions of dollars that come in. Again, the biggest lawsuit in the history of sports. Thanks so much, Chris Cuomo.